Hello, people. Dan Bome again, reporting live from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Oh, greetings, my friends. Today is another lesson in the seven churches, the ongoing study. Today's victim is Sardis. Sardis has been called the words of the escaping ones, or those which come out, those that flee. Not the called out ones, the running ones, the ones who flee. Written in Asia Minor, and as were the other ones. It was the residents to the kings of Laodicea, a very fertile land. Very prosperous. It is said that when Cyrus conquered it, he hauled in over the excess of $600,000 worth of treasure when he conquered the city in 598 BC. And for that time period, that was a lot of money. The title that Yeshua uses has the seven spirits of God and the seven stars. The condemnation is commendation. He knows your works and his reputation being alive, but are dead. Be alert, strengthen what remains, and complete your task. The condemnation is if you are not alert, and he comes like a thief. A few that are defiled, and those that walk in white. Who don't walk in the ways. He'll erase their names from the book of life. Now, this is a good example of another teaching I have. Difference between being Messianic, Jewish, or Goy, the followers of the path of Messianic, versus, quote, the Christian thought. Majority of Christian thought I have to live a moral life, an upstanding life, to get in to the book of life. Yet Revelation and Jewish thought says that our name was inscribed at our very birth, in the Lamb's book of life, in the book of life. And evil deeds causes God to erase a little bit every year, until there's nothing left. So by the end of time, by the end of our life, we have nothing to show. And the worst in our thought is appearing before God and having absolutely nothing to show. Whereas Christians are trying to do everything to make a show of themselves. We already feel that we have God's eye. He sees us and he understands us. And so therefore we were left with nothing. We squandered all away our riches. There was nothing left. And when we got tired of eating of the hog's dish, we went crawling back to our master. The life of repentance means a life of change. Not just saying I'm sorry, but actually getting involved in doing something different with your life. Not returning to the same old hog slop of this world and living like they do, but setting ourselves apart. Seven spirits found in Isaiah chapter 11 verse 23. Spirit of wisdom and understanding, being moral in fellowship, counsel and might, knowledge and fear of the Lord and the one true God. What's interesting is seven stars, also found in Revelation 1 verse 20, which are the seven churches. But most people don't take a look at Jewish mysticism. And Revelation, whether you like it or not, does contain a lot of Jewish mysticism. 7 stars. In all the studies of Revelation, not one scholar ever looked at the physical evidence of the 7 stars. Yet they are very visible to our naked eye. We can see them in the night sky, often called by their Greek name, the Pleiades. Or you could do the classical interpretation. 5 planets, which we see in the sun at night, were very visible to the naked eye. With telescope, they come in clear. They appear like stars. With the sun and the moon, although there are debates amongst the classics by which they say the moon's not really a star, it's a reflection of the star, but yet it is a light. The same word in Hebrew that's translated star can also mean a light. We look in Genesis and he says he created 2 lights in the heaven. One greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. What's the lesser light? One that doesn't have its own light, but reflects a greater light. In a sense, we are God's moon. He's our sun. He radiates, and we are to reflect his light on the night. He's the light by day. We're the light by night. In absolute darkness, we are the lambs that cry out, sheep's led to slaughter. In the Greek classical thought, it is a Big Dipper, with Orion, the 4 shoulders, and 3 at the feet. It's very interesting when we take these 3 ideas and thought. Suddenly, the 7 stars, which are held in his hand, take on a very physical appearance. All the planets are in God's hands. All of our solar system, from the sun all the way out, are held in God's hands. The 7 Pleiades are also held in God's hands. It's something to think about when we're doing an interpretation into a book that has so many symbols in its head. I found it fascinating that it is a testimony not only of our own solar system, but also that which is in the stars even beyond us. Might have been one of those lights or that thought. Of course, then the question is, if it's the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets, how would John known about this? Except that then he says to him, he was caught up. Something to think about. They're visible to all nations. Each of those 7 stars. Everything from China to Greece. In their mythology, based around the 7 stars. The funny thing about all this is the 7th star goes through this fluctuation. It appears and then disappears. It's bright one moment and lesser in the night. In a sense, Sardis has become this light. It appeared for a moment and then disappears in the night. Instead of letting it shine so before men as a testimony, it has become the fleeing church. When it got heavy in Jerusalem, they fled. And when it got heavy under Roman persecution, they fled. And when they were tormented by the pagan people, they fled. Until they were scattered and pushed. And finally, under duress, they cried out and said, "Give a land of our own, where we can sacrifice and be alone with God." And the kings gave them the land here, we call America. And yet when we look around, we now stand to lose that. I like Abraham's thought. Why did we hold on to this? He looked for something better. He held out even though it was the land that God gave him. From sojourning in Canaan, refused to put down a city, refused to put down roots. Roots came from a later generation of people. That is why it's called Israel, and not Avramael, or some other name incorporating his name. He didn't wish it. Paul describes that he held out for a land that was yet to be revealed. What's our works? What kind of light are we showing? Are we warm and welcoming to strangers in our midst? Or do we sit in a corner and show a closed shoulder? Are we acting like the world so they don't know who we are? Or are we going to take the light of the Messiah and be different? I tell my students, you want to be different? Show me different. But if we act exactly like they are, well, I'm going to get mad at them because they got mad at me. How are we any different than they are? Each of us have to go through that question in life. Each of us have to morally understand. We are the light of this world. God said that the Jews were the light to the nations. And now he calls the nations to be a light unto himself. We are to be a light to this world. And yet in congregations around the world, they condemn the Jews for failing to be that light. Being attracted to the light of the nations rather than the light of God. And yet, we dabble in with modernization of the church. To go for the newfangled feeling rather than dealing with the root of sin. We look at the aspects of modern techno advancements rather than taking the aspect of husbandry and tending to the garden and rooting out the weeds and sowing good seed and ensuring that our ground remains fertile. There are many lessons to be learned in farming that could be translated in the spiritual world. Instead of building each other up and puffing each other up, maybe we should be focused on what can we do to change an entire community. Instead of handouts, why doesn't the church start doing hand-ups? Instead of taking in billions of dollars and doing nothing, why don't they start works? Invest in factories. Start building a community around them. These are questions that need to be answered by each and every one of us. Or our master is going to come back and he's going to find us defiled and not walking in the white. And we'll have our name erased from the book of life. And we're going to stand there before him and say, but Lord, I did this, and Lord, I did that, and Lord, I did something else. And he's still going to say the words, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. I told people, I said, I heard sermons and sermons about how hot hell is and all the flames that wouldn't go out. And that won't keep me out because the hotter things are, the better Daniel likes them. I hate in Canada. I hate 40 below zero. I hate frigid. When God wants to strike fear of me, he threatens to send me up to tuck, yuck, tuck. That's minus 60 up there. I'll obey you, Lord. I'm not Jonah. You're not going to put me in a whale and spit me up in the North Shore. Oh, my. What is our aspect of life? What's our reputation? Are we alive, truly alive? Or just a reputation of being alive and being dead to our works that we should be carrying out for the Messiah? We need to ask our Father for forgiveness and change our life, no longer being drawn to the things of this world, but seeking after truth. Whatever things are pure, whatever things are holy, these are the things that we need to dwell on. Nothing else. Until next time, Shalom. Hamelchem.